Welcome to the best of the Leon Charney Report. For over 2 decades, Leon Charney, one of the architects of the historic Camp David Peace Accords, has interviewed some of the most important figures in modern-day history. These interviews provide a window into some of the most significant events of the last 50 years. In this excerpt, recorded in July of 2005, Leon Charney speaks with retired Israeli General Yossi Peled, the former head of the Northern Command, and the two of them speak about the realities and illusions of peace.
Welcome to another Leon Charney Report. We're talking to you from Tel Aviv, Israel, and we managed to get the great Yossi Peled, General Yossi Peled. If you remember our show, and I'm sure you do, we did some great shows with Yossi when he was in Northern Command. He's a very, very popular commentator now on what's going on in Israel. He refused to go into the Likud party and politics in general, and he will give you an honest opinion about what is going on in the country today. So I'll ask him quick questions. The disengagement, is that a correct move, Yossi, in your opinion?
I think that the real question is, it's not if it's a good or a bad move. I think that we find ourselves in an impossible situation, and it's not possible now to stop it. And if you ask my opinion, am I in favor or not? The answer will be yes, I am in favor. I am in favor. Even I am divided, because it's one thing I feel in my heart, and the second thing is what my head told me to do. And I think we have no choice. We must do it. And the whole question, or let's say the most important question, is what will happen after that? Is that a start of a process, or it's a process by itself?
Last week we had Abu Vilan on the show. Abu Vilan said that's the real important decision that Sharon will have to make, historical decision, whether you truly separate, whether you build this fence and you separate because of the demographic problem, or you continue to go and you know, don't really have a strategic plan.
You know what happened to a lot of people in Israel? That part of us start to think that what we dream to have became the reality. And our dream is to live like Switzerland, France, you name the countries, because we start as a nation be a little bit, I don't know if a little bit, but we start to be tired. And when a person, like a nation,
It gets sloppy.
yeah, so your wishes or your illusions start to be for you the reality. And that's what I am afraid about. By the way, I want you to know, it's my opinion, and I hope I am wrong. After we finish the steps, according to what we talk in Gaza, we shall be out of Gaza. If somebody thinks that it will bring a peace to Israel, I'm afraid not. And I wish to be wrong. I'm afraid not, because one of the mistakes that we do, the Israelis, is that we try to understand the other side, namely the Palestinians, from our mentality, our education, our value of life. It's absolutely different. And what the Palestinian will understand, if they are right or wrong, is that we left because their terror activities. Even it's not true, but it's not important what we think, it's important what they think. So it's not so simple. And as I said just 2 minutes ago, if it's a beginning of a general process, a whole process that will continue later, we can take it. But if it's only a step by itself, I'm not sure it's right.
Is there an answer to the demographic problem?
We have no answer. We must separate between ourselves and them. But separate, with the whole meaning of the word separate. They will live there. You want your own country? Live there. Don't come here even to work. That's what I think. Live there, let us to live here. Otherwise, according to your question, in the long run, maybe not in the long run, 10, 20 years for a nation is nothing. For us, it's a lot as person. For a nation, 20 years is nothing. They may take over this country. So we must separate. And the time is not in favor with Israel. You remember, Leon, very well. 67, after the big victory, we made so many mistakes, because once you are the winner. You have such a big victory. You have the privilege to be large, to suggest. What did our leader at this time, Moshe Dayan, Goldie Meir,
The
what did
only
they
guy
do?
who had a long-term strategy was Abba Eban, and no one listened to him. He was the one that said it, and if you go to the history books, you'll see that he spoke about, we're victorious, now's the time to give back, not to keep schwitzing, bragging. But that's natural, that's human nature. So it's very hard. But about 2 weeks ago, Boogie Yalom, who was the former chief of staff, gave a very pessimistic interview about what he thought the future of this country looks like in terms of, he thought it's impossible, basically, at this stage to have two-state solution. Would you agree with that?
I prefer not to speak too much, especially in the media, about Boogie Yalom. I think it's a mistake for a person like Boogie Yalom, a person that just finished his duty as the chief of staff, to suddenly give such an estimating about the future of Israel.
Oh, he has an opinion, that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
But you're saying because he came from such a high position, you have to be very careful about your words.
I'm afraid, Leon. I have to be very careful now with my words. I'm afraid, Leon, that if Boogie Yalom got another year as chief of staff, I'm not sure that he will say what he said. So I don't feel comfortable with what he said.
All right, so I understand it's a sort of a personal story of Boogie Yalom. It hit this nation very hard, but the next week, Mr. Dichter, who ran the Shin Bet, came out with a very optimistic view, and he thought that Israel was in the right direction and what they were doing. So there were two opposites in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I try to be and I try not to be an average citizen of this country, watching TV, read newspaper, look at the chief of staff that just finished now his duty, look at the Arieh, by the way, that I appreciate this guy, is one of the best guy I know, and I say, just a moment, who is right here?
Of course.
Who is right here? And an average person must be very confused to hear so two different opinions from people that are on the top of the top.
I understand.
And as we know life, I think there's a choice maybe between those two opinions.
You are not a member of any party right now?
No, because I don't believe in the differences between the big parties.
Likud, I can ask you some questions. You were offered to come into the Likud, is that correct?
Yeah.
And you said you didn't want to go into politics at that stage. You're also a very close friend of Barak, Barak now. Can he lead this country again, in your opinion?
You ask me a very sensitive and a very complicated question. You know why? Because he was the prime minister and we saw the results.
Right.
Terrible. I was very frustrated because I, as a person, build on this guy. I say, that's a new generation of leadership. That's a man that can bring really a new future to
But
Israel.
he's down in the polls with the Labour Party.
And you know what? He made so many mistakes. Maybe because he's too clever, he's too clever, and then he starts to believe that he by himself knows everything.
Son of God.
And second to God. And he doesn't have anyone beside him, on left or right. But coming back to your question, you have to check the alternatives. Who are the alternatives? Without mention names, Leon. I think that...
Are you satisfied with Arieh Sharon today?
Not at all. I'm not satisfied with him. I'm not satisfied because, or let's say, although I agree with him, as I say, with the move that he has been doing according to the Gaza Strip, I cannot agree that a leader that go to once he put his ideological in front of the nation, and when you have election, you say
you go 180 degrees the other way.
He told the nation, look,
betrayed.
The settlements in Gaza are like Kibbutz Negba, Ashkelon. Okay, It's okay if you said it, if it's really what you think of, and after a few months you say, just a moment, from this chair, namely the chair of the Prime Minister, everything looked different.
In modern Middle East history, only one peace treaty has stood the test of time, the 1978 Camp David Accord. In the new documentary film, Backdoor Channels, The Price of Peace, learn the true story behind the greatest diplomatic achievement of our time and its lessons for the future.
The price of peace is very high to have this courageous man and my close friend killed.
Winner of the Telly Award for Best Cultural Program. Now available at select stores including Barnes & Noble and online at Amazon.com. The preceding program was brought to you by Backdoor Channels, The Price of Peace.